Kyle Whittingham will coach his final game in Las Vegas against Nebraska. They will beat the living daylights out of the Cornhuskers, and then it will officially be the Morgan Scalley era in Salt Lake City. JT Wistrcill of Locked On Utes here to discuss. Did the news or timing of it surprise you at all, JT?
A little bit, just because it's Kyle Whittingham. It's always hard to predict. I have it on good authority. It's been reported on my show. Like, this was supposed to happen last year. Kyle Whittingham was supposed to step down last year, but he did not want to go out the way that he went out. I'll also just say this. There was a little bit of like, is he actually still going to retire? Because what happened? Yes, they had the 10-2 season, but they didn't win a Big 12 title. And what's the other thing? They didn't beat BYU. So, oh no, is he going to do this again? Is Morgan Scalley going to have to wait another year? But at the end of the day, it's a 10-2 season. You were a top 15 team in the country. Like, this is where, okay, come on, Kyle. You said you were getting close to the end. This feels like it was time. And he steps down. He didn't retire, by the way. That's what's weird. It's like, there's already a report, Stuart Mandel of The Athletic. Like, I'm sure we'll talk about in a moment. Like, he's not retired. He's stepping down as Utah football's head coach, but he might still be doing other things in the coaching world. So yeah, the timing just on a Friday. Maybe the one before was just with all the stuff going on. I guess that's why he didn't do it the week before with National Signing Day and some things. I really don't know. It's Kyle Whittingham. It's hard to understand with what he does sometimes, but I'm glad they did it before the bowl game, because bowl attendance, bowl popularity has never been lower. So announce it before. You don't want to make it about yourself. I totally get that. You're not Coach K with Duke, right? Make it about your players for the season, but we can make the bowl game about you and get some more fans and butts in the seat for a Las Vegas bowl that, I agree, Spencer, shouldn't be very competitive based on where these two teams are headed. So yeah, definitely a little surprising based on the timing, but I'm glad it's official, because it feels like it's time for Morgan Scalley to take over, even though Kyle Whittingham has been everything for Utah football for the past 20 plus years.
Yeah, I hadn't thought about it from that angle. And of course, there are direct flights from Vegas to Salt Lake, or it's about about a 6-hour drive from Salt Lake, depending on where you live. The last chance to watch Kyle Whittingham coach a Utah football team. Yeah, I bet that'll get a few more people down there to Allegiant Stadium. But you know, the reports from a couple folks at The Athletic that, you know, he's stepping down, not retiring, still open to coaching opportunities. I didn't take that. I considered it, but I can't see him being the next head coach at Michigan. Like, can you? Like, that just feels like a little bit much, doesn't it?
I got to be honest. I can see a path for it.
Really?
Simply as a 1-year thing. 1 year, the Frank Reich thing they just did with Stanford. I don't think it gets much better than Kyle Whittingham. In late December, you need some type of a coach. If you are Michigan, you need to nail this hire. You do not want to, we got to get a head coach in because we want to set his vision for the next 5 years. No, if you botch this, you set yourself back 5 years. I would much rather say, hey, we have Wink Martindale there, still a really good defensive coordinator, right? We have Bryce Underwood. The offense should still be really good. What if we brought Kyle Whittingham in just to kind of like steady the ship, make sure everything was good, and then we get a head start on our coaching search and cycle next year when we have our pick of the litter on the candidates, because it's the best job next year, right? I mean, the Michigan job, I don't see another job that would rival it. I don't know who's going to take it. I know that DeBoer put out a statement that he's focused on right now. He hasn't signed anything as of what I've heard, but I don't think it gets much better for a 1-year type of thing than Kyle Whittingham, who's been incredibly successful. Let's not forget, back in 2010, he actually passed on the Tennessee job to stay at Utah. So he's won at a high level. I think for a 1-year type of thing, he would make a lot of sense for Michigan. And then next year, it's like, hey, this is clearly a 1-year thing. Then let's go in another direction. But I don't see Kyle Whittingham becoming the head coach at Michigan and like, oh, this is going to be the next 5-year thing. No, the only way I see it as a 1-year type of thing. And if I was Michigan, like I'd much rather put a Band-Aid on it this year than try to make the wrong hire. So that's to me where I could see Kyle Whittingham in Ann Arbor in 2026.
You make a compelling argument there. He could be a pretty perfect transitionary coach. It might be a tough sell to players that you're going to play for a guy for an entire season and go through a whole off season with somebody that is not going to be there come 2027. Maybe some guys or most of the guys or enough of the guys are loyal enough to the maize and blue that that's okay with them. But man, I would have to imagine that would at least be difficult to keep everybody around that you want. Of course, Bryce Underwood's the most important, but we all know they're also built along that offensive line. Stylistically, of course, Michigan and Kyle Whittingham, makes plenty of sense. I feel like Whittingham saying, I still want to do some coaching stuff. If he were going to be a head coach, I think he would just stay at Utah and try to get Morgan Scalley the best head coaching job he could elsewhere, give him every letter of recommendation and be a good reference for any school that would go out and need a head coach. But I feel like he wants to go to the NFL maybe and be like an assistant or an advisor or assistant head coach. That feels more realistic to me.
And I totally agree with that because Kyle Whittingham has even like over the course of the years taken a step back from Utah. Like Morgan's been doing head coach stuff and other people have been stepping up behind the scenes as Kyle Whittingham has taken a step back. But make no mistake, like Kyle Whittingham was locked in on the sideline. Like watch the way that man coaches. Looks like he still has some fire in the tank. But I do agree, Spencer. I think it's more likely that he's an NFL assistant in some capacity, advisory role. I feel like is what he's more looking for here. I'd be interested to see how he would do on TV as very smooth delivery, but the personality sometimes I'm curious to see if he would amp that up a little bit. But yeah, I think it's more just about the timing for Michigan is why I look at it. I'm like, if you want to still have a really good coach while not botching your search, because, you know, I know you talked about Jed Fish early, like, does that get the Michigan alumni really excited? Or is this the kind of thing where Jed Fish is there and he's there for 2 years and then they fire him, not because it's really fair to Jed Fish, but because, oh, he wasn't a Michigan man. He wasn't our guy. He wasn't our hire. That's where Kyle for 1 year. And then we do all the cycle in the search next year, to me makes more sense. But yeah, the only thing I'll say about Kyle to Michigan too, is Michigan clearly gives you a better chance than Utah to win a national championship. So Kyle stayed loyal for so long. Maybe this is one opportunity, is a one-time thing. He's like, okay, I am interested in this. Is Michigan interested in him? Does Kyle want to be a head coach? Continued to be. I mean, it seems like he would consider it based on the fact that he didn't say he was retiring in his statement, just that he was stepping down as Utah football's head coach. But you're right. There's a lot of layers to this, and the timing is really what gives Kyle Whittingham a shot in this. Had this whole thing happened with Sharon Moore right a month ago, I don't think we're talking about Kyle Whittingham. It's more so just, as I said, Band-Aid on it that I could see. But I also agree with you, Spencer. It's much more likely he's an advisor. He's just still doing things in the world of football rather than the head coach on the sideline at Michigan. But as you know, because this is Locked On college football is a crazy sport and wild things can happen. So Kyle Whittingham on the sideline at Michigan, honestly, wouldn't be the craziest thing I've seen this year by a long shot.
No. I mean, we've seen Sharon Moore in prison.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that'd have to be up there with one of the craziest things I've ever seen. Remember when my beloved Trailblazers had to fire Chauncey Billups because of that scandal?
It was like a month ago, by the way.
Yeah, that was
the whole lane.
That was so uninteresting compared to every coaching story that's come about since then. Yeah. Bringing this back to Utah, though, JT, your confidence that Morgan Scalley keeps them at a Big 12 championship level for the next several years?
Extremely high. I think when you have a coach moving on like Kyle Whittingham is, your dream candidate is someone like a Morgan Scalley, a player who played at Utah, who's been here forever, who is also an elite coordinator. I think about Ohio State when they were transitioning away from Urban Meyer. They already had Ryan Day in the building. Oklahoma with Bob Stoops. They already had Lincoln Riley in the building. I know less said about what Lincoln Riley ended up doing there after he left, but right now you're talking about Kyle Whittingham moving on. This right here, Morgan Scalley, a Utah man taking over. I think he's one of the 10 best defensive coordinators in the country. Like what he gets year in and year out of this Utah defense, it's incredible. This is a guy who shut down Lincoln Riley a couple times, right? People forget USC wins that Pac-12 title game in 22. They're in the playoff, but Morgan Scalley and the Utah defense got in the way. And so often we talk about how hard it is to play at Rice-Eccles Stadium. Yes, the fans, the third down, all that stuff, like the craziness of it makes it a tough place to play. But it's also Morgan Scalley that blitzes the plays he designs up. Like just so often we see offenses come in against a Utah defense. And I know we gave up a lot of rushing yards last 2 games, but overall, Morgan Scalley's been one of the best defensive coordinators in the country. He is a Utah man. He's been instrumental in Utah's recruiting efforts. He's done a great job recruiting Texas over the years. I think he is absolutely ready to have this program in a position to continue to compete with Big 12 titles, especially as Spencer, I know you saw last week, we're making some news off the field as well. So sounds like the NLL resources will hopefully be there to help what I think is a really great future Utah coach in Morgan Scalley. Absolutely the right choice for the job.